Well, President Biden has imposed tough sanctions on Russia for invading Ukraine's border. But when it comes to the U.S. border, he's actually fighting the justice system and pushing for weaker immigration policies at our southern border. Our next guest was at the Supreme Court yesterday fighting to reinstate a Trump-era rule that would prevent immigrants from jumping to the front of the line to get government assistance ahead of tax-paying Americans like you. Joining us now is Arizona Attorney General Mark Brnovich. General, welcome back to the show. Before we get to what happened in the court yesterday, would you explain for our viewers this Trump-era rule and how it was combating this crisis at the border?
Yeah, Lindsay, thank you to you and Sean for having me on again. And look, I'm first-generation American, and for more than 100 years, there's been a statute on the books that basically says you have to be self-sufficient if you're not a U.S. citizen. And the Trump administration went through the painstaking rulemaking process and promulgated a rule that says if you are non-citizen, you can't be on government benefits for more than 1 year of your first 3 years here. That is, you can't get welfare, Section 8 housing, and what the Biden administration did is they unilaterally withdrew that rule, and then they basically stopped an appeal that was pending at the U.S. Supreme Court. And that's why Arizona stepped in. And what I've told folks, and whether it's our lawsuit about the Biden administration essentially decriminalizing and allowing the cartels to seize southern control of our border, or now this, they're creating incentives for people to come here when they're not citizens and essentially get benefits that hardworking taxpayers have paid into the system for years.
So I guess my question, General, is what is this? What kind of precedent does this set? Does this undermine anything more than that? I mean, how big of an impact does a ruling like this have?
Well, we'll see what the court does, Sean, but really, I kept making this argument to the justices yesterday that this was unprecedented. What the Biden administration did was not only sneaky, but they essentially undermined the rule of law. And one of the things that I think we all understand, the reason why people want to come to the United States is because the rule of law has to mean something. You have to go through the process. You have to play by the rules. And what the Biden administration has done, and we know this, is they are systematically at every corner undermining the rule of law, and this was just another attempt by them.
Can I ask you this? Like, I know
yes.
You guys are a border state. Doesn't this continue to prove to be a magnet to come in? So it's, hey, we're not going to prosecute you. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do this. And oh, by the way, now we're going to make sure that we make it easier to get benefits.
Yeah, it's crazy, Sean, that this is part of the progressives left to systematically undermine our country. They have allowed the cartels to seize operational control of our southern border. So just this last year, more than 2 million people illegally came into our country. And then you throw on top of that the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of gotaways, people evading capture. You look at the price of drugs like fentanyl that are dramatically declining, that's affecting all of our neighborhoods, not just in Arizona, but this is coming to South Beach and South Manassas, Virginia, and throughout this country. And so the Biden administration has decriminalized because they're not prosecuting or returning people to their countries of origin, and now they are incentivizing. They're essentially wanting people to come here and become dependent on the federal government. This, to me, Sean, is just another attempt by the Biden administration to nationalize our elections and socialize our economy, and they're trying to overwhelm the system because this is the progressive left's dream.
The fascinating thing, General, is if you listen to the Biden administration, they would say that they have a humane approach to immigration, and everything that Trump did was very inhumane. But if you look at what's happening at the border, as you mentioned, trafficking, drug trafficking, human trafficking, and all the problems that we're facing, those do not seem humane to me.
Yeah, you tell that to somebody whose 16-year-old kid died of a drug overdose because they were at a party and someone gave them a pill and they didn't know what it was. Tell that to someone that maybe is smoking marijuana laced with fentanyl or some other dangerous drugs. Tell that to the people that live in cities now that are getting more and more gang violence because the cartels are becoming more and more powerful. That's what's inhumane. The fact that hardworking American taxpayers are having to subsidize illegal activity should be offensive to everyone, regardless of what your views are on immigration.
Well, Attorney General Mark Brnovich, appreciate you and Arizona stepping up, and look to check back in with you soon.
Thank you, Lindsay.